But I think to
Yes.
satisfy the wishes of the board, we should have two motions. One to approve the water rates, and a second motion that basically says there's an expectation that the Stickney fund from water surplus over the next, put 5-year period or a 10-year period on it, that the up to $150,000 borrowed from the Stickney fund will be replaced from water surplus. As a second motion.
That
Keep the
motion
two
I can
things-
vote for.
Keep the two things separate.
Yep.
So, do we have a motion? Any further discussion?
Yes.
So,
On the first motion on the rates, we just asked you to make sure it's retro to the last billing period, November, that's what we normally do. And secondly, on the
oh, billing period, not the
Billing
bill
period.
itself.
billing period.
You're talking about a bill we haven't received yet.
Retro to the November period was date of the last billing. And on the second motion, I would just ask you that you don't put a time limit on it. That as soon as retained earnings or surplus, retained earnings is the process. Allows for the payback of the 150. That's the motion of the board. As soon as we have it, pay it back. Pay it back.
Okay. I mean, you can pay it back in installments.
We'd rather do that,
Yeah, that's fine.
but if you don't put it,
Yeah, I understand.
it's difficult to put a time limit on it.
Okay, let me find my motion now. So this motion does not have the recommendation to the water commission. What?
For what's that?
This motion identifies the gallons per day will be so many, 580 per 1,000 gallons. So we need to construct a motion that covers, you want to mark it up to cover your, it doesn't cover the extension of the third tier.
By setting the third tier, put the third tier down at the bottom.
Yeah.
It just makes it year round and effectively convert the seasonal rate to a third tier.
So it creates a third tier and the seasonal rate goes away, basically, is that the?
Yes.
It can go away. It stays
What
all
was the
year.
billing, is it November 1st?
November 1st.
November,
Well, you just fill in the date, so.
Yeah,
November of
November '07? November 1, or what's the date of the,
I believe the bills were issued on November 15th or 17th.
no, but what's the period?
Here, the next billing period will be the November to February billing period.
Yes, but is it November 1st or November 15th?
Say November
I mean,
2007.
they're effective when the bills were, when the meters were read. We started reading the meters actually in October.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
The bills went out on, they go out approximately November 15th.
All right. I'll put November 15th.
Mr. Chairman, I move to set the water rates effective November 15th, 2007 to be as follows. The first tier rate for water use up to 100 gallons per day will be $5.80 per 1,000 gallons. The second tier water rate for water use above 100 gallons per day and up to 440 gallons per day will be $8.50 per 1,000 gallons. And the third tier water rate for water use in excess of 440 gallons per day will be $11.60 per 1,000 gallons.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
You gonna construct the second motion there?
Yeah.
surplus.
So what happens, yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. But it's,
I mean, October.
if we do, we may not do anything in October. It may not happen in October, but I think we should get accounts set up, basically, proper account with $150,000 or whatever they're gonna take. If it's carried on the books as a liability of the water, that portion of the water. So that when I'm not sitting here anymore, some of this may change it. My guess is it won't get paid off until I'm long gone.
Craig, how does this sound? We're now very ready to go through. I move to authorize the water enterprise to repay from water surplus the amount borrowed sticky fund up to 150K.
I never thought was replace borrow with transferred.
Get transferred.
Borrowed implies.
Right. Transferred from the sticky.
I thought it was gonna express the intention of the board, rather than mandating.
Still takes a town meeting vote to do it. It just sets up an accounting of it. When they have the retained earnings, and they feel like they wanna throw 20,000 at it, then they can do it. And if they feel they can't do it, they wait a year. But it also gets tracked, and it eventually gets transferred back into it.
Yeah, I won't vote for that, but whatever. I thought we were gonna just express you started out talking about expressing the intention of the board, in which I have no problem doing that. But I have a problem voting money that I don't know exists.
Let's do this
The
again.
water deficit was for FY 2007.
Yes.
The numbers changed, we have to do this again?
What's that?
We have to do this, no?
No, the town meeting authorized up to $150,000 to be transferred.
To be
So
transferred
whatever
from
they don't have to transfer all of it. They have to do, they do. If they don't, if it's less, well, pay back what they transferred in.
See how this reads. I move to authorize the water enterprise to transfer funds from water retained earnings to the sticky fund to replenish funds used from the fund to cover the FY 2007 deficit.
Sounds good to me.
Chairman, I move to authorize the water enterprise to transfer funds from water retained earnings to the Stickney Fund to replenish funds used from the fund to cover the FY 2007 deficit.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. O'Leary.
Discussion. Yes. Is that an infinite date? Is there any date on this?
No date on it.
I can't vote for that, I'm sorry.
You want a date?
Yes.
Okay.
What would you
What do you want,
propose?
5 years? 7 years?
I will tell you right now, I'm not gonna be voting for it either, because I agree, we don't have this money to vote to commit to. And I feel the same way Mr. Dardino does on this. I don't see how we can commit to this money that we don't have.
Why don't you
You
go
don't
back?
pay it, you don't pay it back until you get it. If you never get it, it never gets paid back.
But the point is, why don't you go back to your original suggestion? You made a good suggestion, and then you carried it too far. Why don't you go back to voting the intent of the board? Fine, I could vote for that.
I like to
If
see
you
it.
say
I wanna
that the
see
intent
it.
of the board is this to be repaid, I could vote for that.
I want to see it on the books as a liability for the for that portion of the water department. So this carried forward, so when I'm not here anymore, and you're not here anymore, it's quite clear that it's still a liability of the water department from their retained earnings to pay back the Stickney fund.
That's interesting, because I think it's exactly the other way around.
Why is
I
that?
think that it's not right for me to bind a future selectman to a number
Not a
that
selectman.
doesn't take into consideration, wait a minute, you talk, let me talk, that doesn't take into consideration exactly the problems that occur between now and 5 years from now in the water area that we don't know about. We don't even know about.
Nothing new. We've
So
done
I
this
don't need to
before.
bind somebody to that.
This is not a novel approach. We did
What's
this-
not a novel approach?
This approach here. We did it with.
Binding somebody 5 years out?
We've done it with
Yes,
others.
it's a huge mistake, but that's
That's
okay,
a
I won't
mistake.
vote for it.
Hillview paid it
May-
back.
Go back to what we can all agree on, which
Hillview
is,
had
which
paid
is,
it back after about, what, 15 years? When they first started, you see, 1988, started paying it back 2000?
Yeah,
Yeah, 2000.
timeframe.
So in 12 years, they finally started to pay it back.
well, I
And they
would,
finally
I
had
would,
enough retained earnings and surplus to do it.
I would suggest you go to
It was
something we
carried
can
on
all
the books
agree
as a
on,
liability.
which is, I would suggest you go to something we could all agree in, which is to express the intent of the board. That's what you originally
It
suggested, I
has
could
a-
buy that.
It has a tendency to get lost if it's not tracked.
Then let's vote.
Because it requires a vote
I-
of town
I-
meeting.
I have
Right, and it
another
requires
question,
the
if I
town
may.
meeting vote
Now,
to get
this-
it in there anyway.
Oh,
This is for this particular situation that we're in now. In other words, if we had a failure somewhere in our, capital system and we had to take out another $100,000, would this motion be part of that also? If we had to take another $100,000 out of Stickney, say in 3 months?
no,
No,
because
No,
the,
this is specific to
This is-
plug in the deficit.
this
It's
was,
not for
this
capital.
deficit,
yeah, I'm just
the
asking, I'm just trying to
deficit
put the motion
is,
in.
is
Yeah, I-
operating
okay.
costs, right?
Yep.
It's the annual operating cost, right?
Yeah.
The revenue didn't
I just
cover
wanted
it,
to, I
right?
just wanted to get that.
The
Yeah, I wanna make sure.
capital, right, the
Right.
Stickney Fund was to deal with improvements to the water system. You know, if we have a major failure of something and we have to replace it, it would be capital, it would come out of that versus paying for water.
Yep.
The
Okay.
idea here, and why Steve has taken this position, is that we've taken up to $150,000 out of Stickney to pay a water bill,
Right, I
Right.
understand, yes, okay.
which should have been paid for by the users,
Right. I agree. That I agree with, okay.
okay? So, we have a motion on the table. Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No,
Motion's carried 3-2.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Dave.
gentlemen.
thank you.
Public hearing, town meeting dates. Mr. Electronics, I hope you have a recommendation. I do.
You have a copy of the advertisement that appeared in the newspaper, the blue form?
We have,
Oh, yeah, wait, okay. I will read it.
oh,
Town of North Reading, public hearing, town meeting dates. The North Reading Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on January 7, 2008, at 8:15 p.m. in room